And this will come close to concluding the oils. So this is my oldest daughter, Ruby, when she was 1 year old, and I did a triptych of her. So there's Ruby's back. And these paintings are about this size. These are oils. And there's Ruby looking out at the viewer. Ruby's 12 now, and I have another daughter, Sterling, who's 6. So at this point, when I was working on these paintings, Ken Bellows introduced me to his former dealer, Peter Tatishev. And Peter liked what I was doing, he liked my work, but he felt that I was falling into a place that was a little bit safe, and he also felt there's a lot of artists working with their families, and which makes sense because it's important for an artist to work with things that they're emotionally invested in, and you're very obviously emotionally invested in your family, or self-portraits, or doing things like that. So Peter laid down kind of a challenge. He would have given me a show in New York, my first New York one-man show, with these works, but he sort of laid down this challenge for me to do work that has more of an edge to it. And many of you know, some of you don't, my family has had a difficult history, to say the least. And but it was and he wanted something more original, and that's that's an easy thing to say and a difficult thing to do as an artist, any kind of artist. If you're in a band, you can hear the influences, and meet someone outside of the band, and you could say to them, be more original. But I remember coming to Omaha, visiting with my family, which I do at least once a year. I'd come more if I could. I went to visit Stephen Roberts, who, thank you, Stephen, he was instrumental in getting me to have this show too, here at Creighton. And Stephen Roberts said to me, I wish my gallery had issued that challenge. And it really was an inspiration to me, because it meant Peter sort of laid down the idea that I don't have to do work that's going to sell. I have to do work that's good, that's going to be powerful. And Stephen really was an inspiration at that moment. And so this is a recent drawing. In my other lecture, I jumped to a drawing of my brother Tom and go into that drawing, but that drawing is owned by the Museum of Nebraska Art, and I wanted to put the drawings that are in the show here tonight and discuss them, sort of break them apart. With these drawings, what I try to do is take a narrative, take a story, take a group of people, and use the light, use the placement of the figures, use all the different aspects of composition and scale and different things to try to tell the narrative that I'm trying to tell. And it's surprising how many, when I do teach or if I'm meeting a group of students, I'll let them sit and try to just take apart the piece and tell me what the piece is about. And it's really pretty amazing how accurate people can be when they just sit and start thinking about what the narrative is. And in this drawing, these are my first cousins. I grew up with them. So it's David, the title is David and Anita visiting Dinah. And David, who's looking at us, well, the only man in the piece too, he has problems with alcohol abuse and alcohol. And Anita is struggling with mental illness. She's in the center. And then her children were taken away from her. It's a very complicated narrative. But I went, and then Dinah, this is Dinah and her husband's house, and I lived there for a week. And And I put in all these, 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 5 cats in it, but there are a million cats, like all these cats in this barn. It's totally bizarre. 40 cats that were all feral running around because people would dump cats onto their property. But I wanted to do a drawing of these 3 siblings who are all facing Dinah's difficulties are her own body, and her knees are shot, and then they're all there on the porch. They're there together, and this is the first piece that I've done that actually has moved into mental illness. None of my other drawings have really been about mental illness. And this one, Norman is here tonight. You'll see him walking around. This is my cousin Norman and my cousins Gary and Johnny. This piece, it's called Christmas Day, Utan, Nebraska. In this piece, it's the closest I've come to a political drawing. And the interesting thing about this piece is that when I teach junior high or high school, this is always the drawing the students want to know about. And you know, I wouldn't venture really why. You know, if they're given a whole group of images, they're just really curious about this image. And this drawing is the closest thing I've come, again, to a political statement, and I happen to be particularly horrified that we're involved in these 2 wars, and that don't seem to end. Theoretically, one of them ended, and Norman is. I grew up with Norman, but Norman is a pacifist, and I hope I can say that, Norman, but he's even more horrified of these wars. But he's not the kind of dad that wouldn't let his kids get guns for Christmas. So, and I shot this on Christmas Day. So I use photographs to create these drawings. One question I'm always asked: are they real people? They're all real people. They're all real settings. This is Norman's house. I took the liberty of changing the view out the window. So I put in the view that's out the window is the view that that Norman had as a child, or his childhood. So it's from a different house. And so I wanted to do the main narrative that I'm trying to do here is Norman's against the war. Norman's a pacifist. Norman's kind of horrified of where things are. But that doesn't mean his kids will be. And even though we don't have the draft, Gary and Johnny, not too long, and they're older now too, they could go, well, you know what, I don't care what Dad thinks, I'm signing up and I'm going to join the Marines and I'm going to go fight. And it's a little bit about my past too, because when I was younger, my brother Ron was starting to get close to draft age in Vietnam, and then the Vietnam War ended. So that's my political drawing. And this drawing is set on like 45th and Curtis, across the street from my mom's. And Sandy and Dave are neighbors. Everybody around my mom watches my mom's house. And that's how I got to know them. So, and Sandy and Dave are here. I don't know if Crystal's here, but this is called Sandy, Crystal, and Dave with Trinity. This snake is really cool. They all have snakes, and Trinity is still alive, I've been told. So, really cool snake. And it's, I think, a breed of 3 different snakes, so that's the name. And in this piece, what I wanted to do was a drawing of a mother and a father, but with their body language and how they are, and the positioning of the figures, sort of cocooning their daughter, and she's the center focus of their lives at this time, and certainly in this drawing, and they've devoted their lives to giving her as much of a good life as they can. And that's there are some themes and there are different things in most of my drawings, but that was the overriding theme of this drawing. And again, I used, like I lit them up from, I had a spotlight, and I kind of lit them from below and used natural light in this piece. I don't know if Wes is here. Wes is, this is one of the early drawings, and it's here too. This is it Springfield, some town kind of between Omaha and Omaha and Lincoln. And this is entitled Wes Teaching Hunter, his son. And in this piece, I was once interviewed, and I said the drawing is about the casual transference of violence. So, from dad to kid, you know, guns. And when I do guns, they mean a lot of different things, and I'm not anti-hunting, I'm not pro-hunting. I don't particularly myself like guns, and I don't really like hunting, but I'm not a preacher. And I want to do the drawings sort of right down the middle. If there's one thing I hate is when an artist or a movie gives me some kind of morality tale or some kind of or preaches to me. I don't like it, so I try not to do it. This is Francie in her father's bedroom. This one's set in Omaha, and this is a drawing. My brother Tom at the time was living in this house too, and Pat is raising his daughter. He lives in, and Pat's here tonight too. And Francie's 15. This one also gets a lot of attention and questions. And it's a drawing of a father a father and daughter, and kind of the gulf between them, but also affection too. And I lit both figures with different spotlights to sort of isolate them. The positioning of the figures, you know, he doesn't have his back to her, but he kind of does. So there's an emotional distance, but they're also very connected. And again, there's all kinds of other subplots. And Pat had found that weird nude. It was even weirder. I fixed it up a little, but it was this torn up little nude that he put up, and Francie and her friends had covered it up for a while, and then when he got back, he uncovered it. And I also, one of the things that a lot of the narrative in the drawings the narratives are also in the details. I love details. So when Tom saw this, he was like, my brother Tom, he said, Pat still chews his fingernails. And like he could tell that from the drawing. So the clothes people wear there, their haircuts, you know, if they have tattoos, if they smoke, if they have cats, if they have animals. I almost always put animals in. In Norman's drawing, their dog was so comical and funny that I couldn't put it in the drawing. It's like one of those dogs you look at and you just laugh. So I tried to put him in, or her in.